Hi everybody, it's Lavender Town, and today I'm going to be talking about how to create and design a character effectively. The first step, at least for me, is to sketch on actual paper. I can design characters straight up in digital, but usually when I get character ideas, I'm out and about, and so oftentimes my initial sketches are just on regular computer or sketchbook paper with a ballpoint pen. So here you can see the original sketches I did for this little vampire character. I drew her straight with a pen and used a little bit of a gray Copic marker, and that's it. Step 2 is where I usually get digital, and here I'm trying to define her silhouette by using simple shapes. She's a very round character, so I'm using a lot of circles, and I wanted her to be super cute, cartoony, but also hourglassy. So basically how I did that was I made her hips the same size as her head, and then everything else kind of tapers in from there, so we get a sort of repeating hourglass shape. I really like to exaggerate body proportions so that no matter how small your character's drawn or if they're in silhouette, they still look dynamic and recognizable. Once I start getting into the face, it's time to start thinking of more specific details. I put this little hourglass shape in her eyes, not only because she has a 1950s style hourglass figure, but because I wanted to actually emulate the markings on a Black Widow. Basically, this character is sort of a satire, fun play with the idea of the vampire seductress. So she's basically a goofy version of that. I wanted her to seem feminine and a little bit dangerous, but in a fun, cartoony way. The next step is kind of a secret trick that I'm going to share with you. Basically, what I'm about to do is select her, duplicate her, and then flip her. And the reason for this is this makes it a lot easier to draw a character from the back. I almost always do it this way, and it can be a little finicky, but basically all you have to do is erase all the details in her face and on her body so far, and just basically try to flip around all those shapes in your mind. And this will make sure that her proportions are the same. So I just drew the back of her hair and stuff, and yeah, she's got her butt cheeks hanging out. So embarrassing. Don't worry, I'll be drawing clothes on her. So now in between I have to do the side view so that we have a full, or well, partial turnaround, so that we can see all the different elements of her character design. And so when I draw outfits on her, we can also see all the different elements of those. I did the side view out of my own head, and you'll see right away there's proportion issues because, well, I didn't cheat with my little trick, because there's no real way to do that to a side view. So I'm going to have to use a different trick to make sure that she's in proportion from the side, and I'll be doing that pretty soon. Basically what you do is you draw lines, holding shift, from the character in different points on her face and her body, and then I can simply watch the line and see if it lines up with her in that same body part on the side view drawing. I try to do as many lines as I can before it becomes confusing, so generally that's the top of the head and the chin, the top and bottom of the eyes, the top of the nose, the waistline, the crotch line, the knee line, and the foot line. That's what I did for this one anyway. If the character is more complicated than this, you might want to do even more, but it's best not to get it too complex, otherwise you can get the lines mixed up. So basically I'm just moving things around. Her hips were in the wrong place, and a couple things on her face were messed up too. But now that it's all sorted, we can get started on the inking. The inking stage is pretty much what it always is here. I'm not sure there's really much to say about it. You just want to follow your sketch as best as you can, and really try to think about what you want the end product to look like. In this case, I wanted it to be sort of like for an iPhone app or something, like sort of this thick lined cartoony style that's been really popular on Twitter recently. I also just like inking this way. It's more expressive, I think, than when you do less line weight, and it makes a character look extra cute if you're doing this style of cartooning. While I'm inking, I want to do just a quick frequently asked question thing. I've been asked a lot of times what program I'm using, and just so you guys know, I'm using Photoshop CS6, and my setup is a little different than most Photoshop interfaces you might see, because I have this little bonus application called Painter Wheel, and it's sort of like a modification type of thing you can add to Photoshop. You have to look it up online, and yeah, it gives you a much better color selector basically. So other than that, it should be normal CS6 with the essentials set up. So yeah, just so you know. And the music will be in the description. Big thank you to Argo Fox. They have amazing royalty-free music that is super cool and jammin', and I love it. And I'm glad I found it. So if you have a YouTube channel that you want to monetize and you need to get some royalty-free music, look up Argo Fox, because they've got a ton of stuff. Now it's time for step 4, I think, if inking was the third step. I'm not sure, I've lost track of my steps. But anyway, this step is the coloring stage. And the first thing I do is I overlay a dark gray on top, because I knew, underneath the ink. That's because I knew that this design was going to have a lot of light colors. She's very pale, of course, because she's an undead vampire girl. And if you don't lay a dark color underneath, sometimes you can have these little white gaps in your coloring and you won't see it because it's too close to the color that you're using. So it's a really good idea to lay down a color that will contrast well with what you're painting on, to make sure that you aren't having those little mistakes. And because I'm designing so many outfits for her, I decided to just basically give her an underwear layer and with all her flat colors, and then I would do outfits on top, so I could really make as many as I want without having to mess with her actual drawing underneath. The colors I picked were sort of they're complementary colors, desaturated complementaries. So I chose sort of a slate grayish blue, and then this sort of desaturated red color for her eyes. And yeah, I pumped up that color a little bit because it was a little too weak. Usually you want at least one of the colors you're working with to be nice and saturated, and then all the other ones can be a little bit grayer because it will look colorful in contrast. So her first outfit I'm designing right now, and it starts with a little Dracula capelet, and yeah, I'm not drawing directly on her, I'm drawing on a layer above, and I'm just basically inking this dress onto her on a different layer, and then I'll be able to basically make a paper doll out of her, essentially. Like, I can put on whatever outfits that I want to draw, which is really fun. And this was for a school assignment where we were supposed to be pitching a game design idea, so it's good to have the option to make sort of as many outfits as you want. I brought out this hourglass shape again. I really wanted it to be reinforced throughout her whole design. She's a dangerous girl, like a spider. So yeah, that's sort of the vibe I wanted to give, and I wanted to give it that nice cocktail dress patterning look. I decided against those. Yeah, I just decided against those buttons afterwards. I also put some stockings on her. That's to sort of bring it back to the idea that this is slightly 1950s pinup inspired. So they're the typical nylon stockings with the seam on the side. It gives it a bit of a retro feel. And then I decided I wanted a little something on her head just to balance her out. And I decided on this little bat bow that honestly I kind of want myself. It's basically a bow that instead of being a normal bow, it's bat wings sticking straight up. So here's the design on her full turnaround. Because I did this turnaround, we can see the bat cape better, and we can see basically we can have a better idea of what she looks like from different angles. So this helps if you're planning on doing an animation or a comic. It gives you a good idea of how to draw her consistently every time. I also added some texture that I imported into Photoshop by taking a picture of some ballpoint pen scribbles that I did on my sketchbook, and then turning them into a brush and then just sort of stamping them all over her dress and hair. I drew her a nurse outfit for a level where she might break into a blood bank, a college outfit where she sneaks onto a college campus, and a masquerade outfit. I'm not even sure why. I just wanted to do a slinky red dress with a black widow marking on the back. So that about wraps up my full method for creating characters and character turnarounds. I hope that this was helpful, or at very least interesting. And yeah, if you have any questions or video requests, I read all the comments still. So just leave a comment about it down below, and I will try to do it as soon as I can. And about the creepypasta videos, those will be coming. They are confirmed. I'm thinking next week will be the first one, and then I'll do another one on Halloween. So I'll see you at least within a week, and I hope you're having a lovely day, and thank you for watching my video.